is holy. This Holder Hangout is holy.
It's holy.
And my Lord, I am so blessed to have the head of our children and youth department, Jonathan Queen, who broke down the word and said, what today?
Look at you now.
Look at you now. Could you talk about what was the inspiration for your message today? Because it touched so many people.
Oh man, well as Pastor spoke about this month of April being Second Chance Month, and of course we did the play Poor Man Rich Soul, written by Jimmy Jenkins, and we spent the whole weekend pretty much setting the tone for what y'all saw today, and that is that there is a redemption story that needs to be told, not just in regards to how it connects with each other, but how it connects to what God did for us. So my inspiration was completely just to be able to share some of my story and let people also look at themselves and say, well, look at me now.
Look at me now. You said transparency leads to transformation.
Yes.
Could you talk about your story, being incarcerated and what you learned from being incarcerated, and now you are leading souls in so many ways? Could you just talk about that awesome redemption story?
Oh man, yeah, we would need a couple hours to really go deep, but just to put it in a nutshell, you know, I'm one of those statistical stories from the 90s. Grew up single parent household during the crack epidemic, got involved in gangs and drugs, and I consider myself not a great criminal because I kept getting caught. But unfortunately, I got caught with a substantial amount, and it landed me in prison for over 10 and a half years. But it was there that God got a hold of me. I had been running all my life. He had given me these gifts to write, to lead, and I was always using them in negative ways. But it was in prison that, you know, Jesus, he spoke to me very clearly. He said, give me a try. And once I did that, December 12, 2001, never looked back. Started restoring things immediately, reconnected me with the woman who will become my wife, got me back in touch with my children. Yeah, my redemption story is like many. The fact that once I said yes to God, doors became wide open.
And we hear this, but to see it, it's just so, you hear it all the time, but to see a story like yours is amazing. Has it really sunk into you how much that your story is blessing other people?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess the church today got a taste of something that most people already know. You know, I've written books. I've been a part of reentry work for over 15 years now. I've been home for over 17 years, and I came home with a book already written, already published, hit the ground running in regards to doing exactly what God told me to do. And that was for me to share my story so that others may be inspired. So for me, you know, our nonprofit is geared towards helping returning citizens and at-risk youth. People see me and they know that I work with young people, and that's a passion, because if someone would have got me when I was young, I wouldn't have went down the road that I went down. I was a genius, you know, and I say that with all humility, but I was using it for a negative walk.
Yeah.
But if somebody would have said, hey man, give God a try, or let's do this, it probably would have ended up different. So I'm passionate about grabbing that young person and saying, hey, let me tell you what this leads to so you don't have to go the same route I did. And then of course, yeah, now I'm able to do this work in a space where it impacts so many more people. So I'm grateful I get to hang out with you. Look at this, I'm with Louie. I mean, you know, I feel like, Mama, I made it. You know, like it's a great thing. But yeah, no, I'm passionate about this work because, you know, one, I got a lot more time than I should have. The laws eventually changed and things happened. You know, I'm part of that. You know, I don't want to call myself a victim, but I was unjustly sentenced under guidelines that weren't fair. You know, that crack and powder cocaine racial disparity that, you know, that they had to eventually change. So I did a lot more time, but I did the time that God needed me to do. And I tell people all the time, I was free 4 years before they opened the gates and let me out. And that blessed me because I was able to, you know, use that time to become better for God.
One story that you told that was awesome, and I just want you to expound on it, was the one about the Maury Povich show and the and the paternity test, but how, you know, Satan is not our father, but we give him joint custody. That thing hit me so hard because we go back and forth. We let him have weekends and seasons. Did you talk about why you put that message in there? Because a lot of people know about that show and the significance of that show, and I think you've got a lot of people with that nugget.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so I've been doing this for years for the young people. So a lot of young people, they were sitting in their crowd like, whatever, this is what he does all the time. And I'm not saying that as a boast, you know, God is the one working through me and everything. But, you know, that's an analogy, an illustration I've used in the past. The key part is just to focus on the fact that our DNA, who we are, is based on God.
Yeah.
It's what God has put in us, that, you know, we were made in his image and his likeness. So, you know, when I tell people that there's no reason you should still be being loyal to Satan, to the devil, to the enemy, that's real. And most people can relate, because no matter how saved you are, you know that there are times when you've been hanging out with the enemy.
I appreciate that. Appreciate it. Jonathan Queen, you've been awesome. Thank you so much for your friendship. Thank you so much for making this Holder Hangout unbelievable.
Holder Hangout.
And your message was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Appreciate you.